welcome back, folks. As you can tell, it is a beautiful day out here, and the great thing about today is it's March 1st, which means it's the gateway to spring, and that means one thing: I'm out here taking advantage of the weather, taking advantage of the fluctuating temperatures to get my maple syrup season started. So this is round number 2. Last year was round number 1 for maple syrup season, meaning I've only done it once before. So I'm out here today, and I got the coated dog with me. He's giving me a hand, and we're just putting some taps in. And I think this year I've got 32 taps in total. Last year I had 20 in total, and as you saw in last year's scenario, it wasn't the most efficient setup. So this year is a new year, new day, and I'm hoping it's going to go well. So if you guys want to come along here, you'll see that I've done a few trees already, and that went pretty well, with the exception of well, let's see if we can dig her out here. With the exception of that is the remnants of a 5/16 inch Lapierre drill bit that unfortunately sheared off and broke and got stuck in the tree. I'll talk about that later. Not overly happy with this. I don't know what happened, but anyways, I got another drill bit and I'm still out there tapping. So if you guys come along, we'll see the overall setup. This is probably not new to you guys, the traditional buckets, but the Skidoo setup here might be a bit different than what you're used to seeing. And as you guys can see, we have a ton of snow out here, and that's here in central Ontario. And so my setup for gathering sap is not going to be using an ATV or by hand. It's going to be using a snowmobile. What I have for my general setup here is I need a way to collect the sap and get it back up to where my evaporator is. And in order to do that, I got this barrel. This barrel is new to me this year, and I think it's going to work pretty well because it's a 55-gallon drum with a very large opening. I can take this, open it up, dump the sap from all the buckets into it, tighten her back up, drive her back up to where the evaporator is, and not have any spillage. Another reason this is great, I don't have to have any valve on the side, any valves. I can just open the top when I'm back at the evaporator, get a scooper, scoop out what I need, dump her in the evaporator, and get to work. So, got that hooked up to my sleigh here. I think this is one of those Kimpex brand sleighs. I don't know any much more about that, but that's it. These are some of the pails. This right here, as you can tell, is not a blue pail you can buy at a store. This actually I got from a local ice cream shop. Pralines and cream. Okay, so this is what they get their ice cream in, and I was fortunate to get a hold of them when they were done with them. This is what is this? I couldn't tell you. 11.4 liter container. So this I put a little hole in the side of, and this goes on in addition to my store-bought buckets on the maple trees. And then all I use is some of the lids that came with it. I just sort of position it like so, and I just leave the lid sort of up like that, and this works quite well. So I got a few more of these to put on, and then when I'm all done that, I picked up some of these, and this is brand new to me. This is that I think they were $19.99 Canadian from Amazon. FDA. Does that mean FDA approved? I don't know, but I can put the link down below for these. These are basically a 2-foot long tube with a spile on the end. This is going to be used for some of my far away trees so that I can use 5-gallon pail. I'm going to use a 5-gallon pail, have this hooked into the tree. That way I don't have to go and check on it every day. Cold temperatures around here in central Ontario will keep the sap good. Then when I get a time to go pick up the sap, I just dump her in my container and come on back to the evaporator. So that's my setup. I guess you guys probably want to see how I actually tap a tree. So I got a big sugar maple over there that I'm going to tap. And if you were to look around the bush here, it's sort of a mixed wood forest. I've got all kinds of trees around here, hardwood and soft. I also have all kinds of maple trees, but I'm looking for sugar maple. Sugar maple has a very distinctive bud, and that's what really tells me this time of year when it's a sugar maple or some other type of maple. Sugar maple has a higher sugar content, and therefore you don't have to boil as much. So if I have the option, that's what I'm going after. And so we got one of those down here. So let's go have a look. Right, Coda? As you can see, we got a nice one set up already there. And it looks like we only have about a foot of snow, but I'm not kidding. I'm probably standing on a good 2.5 feet of snow. And that's why the pails look like they're almost on the ground. It's because when the snow melts, they're going to be a good 3 feet off the ground. Watch your step. Another beauty there. And keep in mind, I literally put the hole in this tree. I tapped this probably about 10 minutes ago. And the great thing about this, I don't know if you can see it. You guys see that? Beautiful. That's the stuff we're after. So that's really good. That's really good considering it was negative 25 Celsius today. And right now it's above 0 Celsius. So that's really good. I got some basic tools here. I got my drill. Got my 5/16 inch bit. And I just use a rubber mallet. I know there's probably maple syrup hammers out there, but I use a rubber mallet, and got my galvanized lid and the pail you just saw a minute ago. So that's all I got, in addition to my tap, of course. So I like to put the tap, if I can, on the south facing side of the tree. That way it gets the most amount of sunlight in a day. Sometimes that's easier said than done. In this case, it looks like I'm going to be able to do that. So I'm aiming for about 3 feet off the ground. Keep in mind, this is not the ground, that's the top of the snow. I probably got a good, I don't know, maybe 1.5 feet or so, maybe 2 feet of snow down there. So I'm gonna basically have to crouch down here, and I'm gonna locate a spot. There's no cracks on this. And I'm gonna locate a spot where theoretically you should find a big root just below it, or a big branch just above it. If you can't find that, in my experience, it doesn't matter a whole lot. Just make sure when you're putting the hole in, winter kicking back on me. When you put the hole in, you just go in and out. You don't go in and play around a little bit. You just in and out and done. So here's my 5/16 bit. I put the tape around it to indicate the length I want. I think I'm right around 2 or 2.25 inches here. I'm gonna square it up to the tree. I'm gonna go at a downward angle. I think they say about 15 degrees. Once in a while, if there's some loose bark, I just wipe it away. But yeah, that's basically it. And that's it. That's it's not rocket science. Now, before I go ahead and put the tap in there, what I do once in a while is bring another drill bit that's smaller, and I just make sure that I've got all the what do you call it out of there? All the dust. I think I got all the dust out of there. Okay. Get off of there. Okay. Looks good to me. Now, the important thing here is you're going to listen for the sound. When the sound changes to a thud, that means that's in as far as it goes. If you hammer this thing home, you're probably going to break it off, or I've heard, and I haven't done it, but I've heard you can cause cracking of the tree. So those of you with more experience may know about that more than I do. Hear that? You guys hear that? Probably not, but it went to a bit of a thud. Just going to give it a few more just to double check. So that's in. And it's as simple as getting the dust out. What on earth? It's funny because I get all the way out here, and this is sort of the reality of tapping trees, and I find I have a bucket without a hole to put it on, but luckily we can solve that problem because we have the tools. There we go. Problem solved. Put this old thing on. And that is ready for some sap. Okay, so I got a bunch more of those to do. I think what I'll do, I'll finish those up, then I'll bring you guys along. We'll head up yonder, further away from the evaporator, and we'll get the 5-gallon pails put in. So okay, we're here. Got a few hard maples, or not hard maples, sugar maples that I'm going to tap and put in these 5-gallon pails. So I guess let's talk and let's do it. Okay, well, as you can tell, I got this put into place. This was my first attempt at using these type of taps. Seems like it's going to work out pretty well. Just to get an idea what you're dealing with, that's the length of the tap. I made the hole just a little bit longer. I think I'm still at about 2¼ inches. So I put 2 taps per 1 pail. I don't know how long this is going to take to fill up, but my goal is to basically show up with the snowmobile when it's time to empty, walk back to the snowmobile, dump it in the barrel, put it back, and away I go. This setup is so I don't have to come up here all that often, because I think a 5-gallon pail shouldn't take too long to fill, but it certainly won't fill every day. So that'll give me a bit of time to take care of all the rest of the pails I have closer to the evaporator. So I think Coda is telling me it's just about time to wrap it up for today, right? Got anything to say to the folks at home? Not too much. Okay, well, I'm gonna get this guy out for a walk here. Even though he's been out all day, he probably wants another one. So I'm gonna take him out for a walk and head on back and make sure I got all my stuff in line so I can get my syrup season underway. Anyways, that's going to do it for me here today. Appreciate all you guys watching. Any questions, put it on down below, and I hope to see all you guys next time.